Welcome dear students. Today in this lecture we are going to study the value of biodiversity. So this value of biodiversity is a point from our unit number 2nd, the topic biodiversity. So in our last lecture we have already studied the definition of biodiversity, then level of biodiversity, and how the India is representing as one of the mega diversity nation as far as the biodiversity is concerned. In this particular lecture, we are going to focus or going to study how this biodiversity means the living organism or a different type of living organism. It may be the plants or animals or your microorganisms. How this biodiversity or the living organism are very important as far as human welfare is concerned, or the human development is concerned, or the ecosystem balance is concerned. Then this the importance of biodiversity or the value of biodiversity is get highlighted in this lecture. So when we going to study the value of biodiversity, there are different uses or value, or simply called as the importance of biodiversity, that is consumptive use or consumptive value. Then its productive use, means the productive use of biodiversity. Then the social value of biodiversity, or how biodiversity is important as far as social point of view. Then ethically, how the biodiversity is important or play a significant role in our ethics. Then the optional value, means there are several points, and through these points we are going to study the value or the importance of biodiversity. So this is the first use or value of biodiversity, that is consumptive use. So what is meant by consumptive use? Particularly in this type of use or value, we are going to consume or taking an benefit from the living organism. It may be from plants or it may be from the animals. For example, we are taking or we are going to take a use of this biodiversity as a food material, because near about 80,000 plant species are of edible type. Edible means we are going to consume these species, or it may be the parts of that plants, it may be the flowers, it may be the plants, it may be the fruits. We are going to enjoy that parts as a food material. Then near about 90% of the food crops of domesticated plant species from the wild tropical plants also. So in this way we are taking a we called as a use or benefit of this plant species as a food material. Then there is another important use of the biodiversity as far as our consumption is concerned, that is our drugs and medicine, because there are about 75% of world population depends upon the plants or the plant extracts for the medicines. Means whatever the medicines we are going to prepare in our pharmaceutical industries, we are using the plants or the extract of plants. It may be the in the form of its bark, it may be in the form of its leaves, it may be in the form of its flowers or fruits. We are going to use that material for the preparation of drugs and medicines for curing the different type of diseases. For example, your penicillin. Penicillin is used as one of the antibiotic, and it is derived from a fungus called Penicillium notatum, and this penicillin is considered as one of the antibiotic for healing the wounds, which is again get we called as a due to the different accidental incidences, or it may be in the war incidences, that wounds are get healed due to this penicillin. And this penicillin is derived or originated from the fungus called Penicillium notatum. So this is the one type of we call as a consumptive use or value of our biodiversity. Then there is another antibiotic, that is tetracycline, which is from a bacteria, derived from a bacteria. There is another good example, that is quinine is obtained from the bark of cinchona tree, and this quinine is used as a anti-malarial drugs. My dear students, you might have seen there is a paintings or some messages regarding the curing of malaria are written that in Marathi, the chloroquinची गोळी करी हिवतापाची होळी, means the tablet which is going to cure our malaria, that tablet, that is chloroquine, name of that tablet particularly, and this quinine is obtained from the bark cinchona tree. There are another example, that is vimbablastin, vincristine, that is two these anti-cancer drugs, and these are again derived from your periwinkle catharanthus plant. So in this way, we are going to take an advantage or use of our biodiversity, means it may be from plants, animals, or from microorganisms. We are taking that values, or we call as a use. Then there is another example of consumptive value of our biodiversity is a fuel. The forest used, or the forest wood as used as a fuel, particularly in the rural areas, the peoples, or in the tribal areas, the peoples may going to use the wood material for their fuel purpose or for their cooking purpose also. Then the fossil fuels like your coal, petroleum, and natural gas, these we called as a oil products are again an example of your fossilized biodiversity, means during volcanic eruptions these plants or the uh, another we called as animals are again get buried into our land, and that may be get converted into your fossilized fuel. So this is an example of your consumptive type of biodiversity. Then there is a productive use or the value of biodiversity. This productive use is again slightly different from your consumptive use, but you may find some similarities in consumptive and productive use. But in the case of productive use, that is these commercially usable values where the product is marketed and sold, means in the case of earlier or consumptive value, we are going to take the benefit of our plants or the animals or the microorganisms for our personal purposes also. But here in the case of productive value, this product or the material which is get derived from the plants or the animals or from the microorganism, it can be used as a product which is marketed and sold to earn the money or to earn the revenue. And here, that is wild gene resources, this traded for used for scientific we called as a introducing desirable traits in the crops and domesticated animals. Means there are some hybrid species of the plants and animals are again get prepared from the wild gene resources or wild species of the plants and animals, and that hybrid varieties are again sold out in our market, and the money is get earned by that particular company and making the revenue from that particular we call as a product. Your bt cotton is a good example of that type of productive use. Then there are several other examples. For example, a tusk which is get derived from the elephants, then musk from the musk deers, then silk from the silkworms, and wool from sheep. It means that such type of products which are get derived or taken from the different type of wild animals, and these are again used as a product or sold as a product in a market to earn the money. Then there are another examples of your productive use. It may be that is the paper and pulp industry, because the papers which are we are using for our daily purposes in the form of our notebook or for printing purposes in our printers, that papers is again get prepared from a raw material that is a pulp, and this pulp is get derived from the plants like your bamboo plants. We are using that pulp to prepare a paper, and that paper is again sold out in a market to earn the money from it. Then there is a plywood industry is also there, because when we see in some malls or in some we called as a urbanized area, specifically in the different type of shops, hotels, restaurants, in the case of flats, apartments, we are making a furniture from this plywood, and this plywood is again derived from a plant parts and it is sold out in a market. Then railway sleeper industries also there. Then textile industry, and the different type of textile products are again prepared from our cotton. Then leather industries, leather products, particularly the bags, purses, your shoes, are again prepared from the uh, we call as a skin of an animals like your deer and other type of animals. Then there is a pearl industries also. As far as the pearl is concerned, uh, in the case of aquatic ecosystem, the pearl oyster, which is again a type of one shell living organism, or we call as a pearl oyster. From that pearl oyster, the pearl is get we called as a collected. That pearl is again sold out in our market. That is the we called as a productive use. Then there is a social value of this biodiversity. After studying the consumptive or we called as a productive value of biodiversity, we have a importance of this biodiversity as far as our social life is concerned. My dear students, as we know that man is a social animal and it is living in a community, and every man or every individual is again going to follow some we call as customs, religions, and psycho-spiritual aspects of the people. Where our India is concerned, India is having we called as a large number of communities, or we called as a there is maybe peoples belongs to different religion like Hindu, Muslim, Sikh, Isai, Parsi, your Jain people. Then peoples from different caste, creed. Then these peoples having their own psycho-spiritual aspects. And these psycho-spiritual aspects are again going to use such type of we call as a biodiversity value. For example, in case of Tulsi plants. There is importance of tulsi in a Hindu religion. Then people, in the case of we call it as a Buddha, uh, Gautam Buddha, that the importance of people is again highlighted. Then mango, lotus, these are and some examples of social values of considered, and these are used in their holy, and their leaves, fruits, flowers are used in the worship of their god, or what may called as a in the case of Muslim the Allahs, or in the case of we call as in Christian that is the father or the issue. They we call as these peoples are again use the parts of some leaves, fruits, or in the form of flower to worship the god. A very recent example of this particular season, we are here enjoying the Ganesh festival, then uh, month of Shravan in our particular Hindu religion. We are going to use the leaves, then fruits and flowers to offer the goddess or the god for during their worship. So in this way, the importance of the biodiversity in the social aspects is also uh, get highlighted. Then the ethical values, beside the social or the commercial or the productive use, the ethical value of our biodiversity, it may be in the case of plants or animals, these ethics are very very important. For example, ethical issues like all life must be preserved means starts from your microorganisms to the different plants, animals, all life must be preserved. Ahimsa paramo dharam. In the case of Jain religion, we simply observe this particular line, all life must be preserved. Then based on the concept of live and let live, all life must have, or they should have the right to live, and we should have to let live to that particular animal or the plant material here. Then there is an optional value of the biodiversity. Here, beside your consumptive value, then productive value, social value, and we call as a ethical values, there are some values or the importance of biodiversity that is simply called as a optional values, and which includes the potential of biodiversity that are presently unknown and need to be explored. Means although we have got tremendous we call it a success in our scientific development through our research, there are some facts, there are some things, or we call it there are some species of the plants, animals, or the microorganisms, they are considered as a unknown species right now also, and that species or that biodiversity we have to be explored through our research and the investigation program. That type of value is called as a optional value. This optional value of knowing that there are biological resources in this biosphere that may be one day prove to be effective option for something important in the future. It means that for our future generation or for our younger generation, there are some we called as a importance of this biodiversity or the use of this biodiversity may uh, play an important role, whereas as far as our younger generation or future generation is concerned. So in this way, in our this particular lecture, we have studied the value of biodiversity, this value in the context of productive value, consumptive value, social value, ethical value, and the optional value. So these values are again going to reflect how this biodiversity or every organism, it may be in the we called as a wild animals, then the species of you consider a butterflies or a species of scorpion, different plant species, animal species, even your pisces or fishes, these all organisms or we call as a living organisms, which is called as a bio means living organism, and the variation among these living organisms, which is very important as far as the value of this biodiversity is concerned in the human welfare context or the human development is concerned. Thank you.